Welcome back to the Ref Show with Keith Hackett and Mark Halsey here. One common thing just lately, Newcastle, they've not helped themselves with their form in this relegation scare, but arguably they haven't been helped by match officials either. There's been a series of calls that perhaps wrongly have gone against them. When we look at last weekend and their 2-1 defeat at already relegated QPR, your team, Mark, and Cabello was clearly wrestled in the area, didn't get a penalty.
No, they're difficult decisions, but I mean, you've got to look at yourself. You've got to look at the referee league pro. But what's he looking at? You know, you do find time. The ball's, you know the ball's going to come across. There's not a challenge. So then you set your attention of what's going on, and you know what Anora is about. Give away a penalty at Liverpool for the same sort of thing, pulling Liverpool playing, giving a penalty away, and it's a nailed-on penalty, and you can understand John Carver being upset because it's not the first time the decisions have gone against him this season. And speaking with John this morning, he's not very happy. He agrees that they've not played very well, but I understand he had the management up in to see him a few weeks ago, and he told him of his unhappiness with the current crop of match officials.
It looked a clear one on the time and on replay. You'll have watched Lee Probert's position. Do you think from his position he should have spotted it?
It's just about it's just about the awareness of what's going on around you. It's about awareness. It's the awareness of the referees and to say.
Well, it's awareness and courage.
Yeah.
Because you see it, then you've got to have the courage to give it. Yeah. And of course, we came into this season on the back of this grappling, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And there was an improvement, wasn't there, of awareness? Has it slipped back a bit?
I think it has slipped back. I think the referees started to be proactive. I think, in fairness, the players responded themselves positively, but nonetheless, it still goes off and it's ignored.
Actually, you should say that. I mean, Mike Dean gave a super decision a few weeks ago at Leicester Newcastle for the push. Yes. And so it's about being aware of what's going on, mentally focused, and having the courage to give those decisions.
Newcastle can do without anything going against them at this time, although, to be fair, their form has been pretty desperate, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting who's going to be appointed to the Newcastle West Ham game.
Well, it's funny because speaking with John, he said the best two referees by far on the Premier League are those from Newcastle, and of course that's Michael Oliver and Mark Clattenburg, obviously, who he can't have. But you do feel for John because he's a terrific guy. He's a terrific coach, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. And decisions have gone against him in weeks.
Moving on to Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 3, and of course, regardless of the result, which was a great win for Palace, it was Steven Gerrard's farewell to Anfield, and he certainly seemed to get the reception he deserved.
Yeah, I mean, I've refereed Steven over the last 15 years, many occasions, and listen, he is a legend. He always will be a legend in my mind. But when you cross that white line, you forget about that, and you're refereeing a football match. And we've had some great moments on the pitch. We've had some bad moments. We've had words, we've had banter, but on the whole, I mean, he's never created me a problem on the pitch, and. I'm sad to see him go because I think we want to keep our best players here, and I think I don't know, obviously I'm on the outside, but looking in, I think Liverpool should have done a bit more to keep him like Man United done with Ryan Giggs. But I was proud, very proud, the day that he rang me to go and referee his testimonial game. But I've got fond memories of him, and hopefully, wish him all the best in America, in MLS,
and Frank Lampard.
Yeah, going across.
We'll hear more.
Going across to see our friend Pete Walton, who's in charge across there, the referee. So no doubt he'll have a bit of.
On RefCam and here on the Ref Show, we'll be following Major League Soccer very, very closely during the summer. The Anfield game, Palace won, I think deservedly, but there were a couple of decisions here. Jonathan Moss was refereeing. The first one really was beyond his remit in a way, because it was a very tight offside. I think replay showed that Zaha for the second Palace goal was just offside.
He's offside, but as you say, it's a tight call, and we do say to assistant referees, if in doubt, keep the flag down, and that's what the assistant's done. The worry I have, and it sounds as though I'm continually having a go at John Moss. In the past, I've questioned his decisions because he tops the list as far as the major errors this season.
And we'll come on to Palace's third goal in a moment.
You know, I think that when you actually look at his performances overall, we've questioned his ability to get in the right position. So here in this game, he's in the right position, ideal view, corner of the penalty area. There's a foul outside the area, clearly outside the area, and he points to the penalty mark.
This is Zaha again involved.
What's he thinking about? Why is he making such glaring errors of this magnitude? Got away with it, didn't he, because of the result?
Is it a confidence factor having made all these errors this season? It got a bit of a worry in the lead up to the FA Cup final as well. This was the same team of officials, wasn't it? The two assistants.
They worked together.
I worry, Alan, here about the overall management of the PGMOL, ensuring their officials are clear that the big errors are the things that we don't want to see. And this guy is making the big errors. He's got the FA Cup final coming up. Hope he doesn't make that type of error. He got this one wrong. Let's hope that he can put it to bed. Somebody can give him some advice, and he can stop making these errors.
It's interesting what you said about going on to leadership. One thing that John Carver said to me was that what he questioned when he spoke to the management, and he said all the managers are saying the same thing. It's lacking leadership and direction from the top with regarding referees.
He's saying that.
John saying that. That's what he told the management, yeah.
Well, I've certainly heard other managers say that publicly. This season, it's a point that's been made.
They're not sharp enough. He's not sharp enough. You know, I mean, you don't jump in on a penalty. You've got to be right. You know, you can't guess it.
But listen, I mean, John's a great lad, you know, and I think, you know, in time to come, hopefully he will become a very good Premier League referee. But he's refereed about 90 Premier League games in 4 seasons. And he's not been trusted with one of the big goal games, we call them. You know, the PGMOL don't trust him to do one of these big games. He's never done one of these games.
Let's go on to the emerging or a referee that you've got some time for, Keith, potentially, Robert Madley. I mean, actually, there was no game changer here. Southampton beat Aston Villa by 6 goals to 1. There was a remarkable hat-trick by Mane in the space of 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Fastest in Premier League history. I don't know from all your career if you recall anything that challenged that for a game for a hat trick.
No, I remember refereeing down at Fratton Park, Portsmouth and Reading in the Premier League, 7-4, 7-4, and I only gave 12 free kicks. And I got criticised by the assessor for not sending a player off for violent conduct. It's unbelievable. And there was I don't know what he was watching, but
it was.
There was a goal disallowed for a bad flag by Peter Kirkup. This was early on.
Unusual for him because he's normally a top-class performer. He was for some unknown reason he went ahead of the game. He anticipated, and he was about a metre ahead. And he was coming back to take his position when he made the judgment.
And if you make a bad call like that, the thing you want is the team you've wronged to go on and win the game. I mean, human nature.
Yeah. But in terms of Madley, if Madley can get himself fitter and more mobile, lose a few pounds in weight, this kid is a very good man manager. Yeah. I'm very impressed by how he deals with players. He's got the courage, he's got everything going about him. So the PGMOL management team and Howard Webb in particular, if he can grip this guy and say, right, you're not having a close season, these are your expectations, here's what the fitness guy is going to tell you that you've got to do.
Sports science,
this is what the nutritionist is going to tell you to do. Yeah. Then we've got a cornerstone referee that will go on to much better things.
So it's all about that.
Down to him.
That body fat's down to him. But I understand his brother's has been appointed to the player final.
Yeah, he's a good referee.
His brother's good as well.
Just finally, a couple of incident-free ones, I think, in terms of referees. Anthony Taylor, Spurs 2, Hull 0. Hull in real trouble. Martin Atkinson as well. Sunderland 0, Leicester 0. And we really must, at the end of this, congratulate Nigel Pearson and Leicester City for a wonderful escape.
Absolutely incredible.
I wish my team, QPR, could have took a leaf out of the way their players conducted themselves on the field. I mean, the passion They wanted to stay in the Premier League, and they gave Nigel everything, and they fully deserve to stay in the league. Fully deserve.
Nigel well, don't we, from Sheffield Wednesday days?
Yes, we do.
Character, he's a big character, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, I witnessed in Bangkok their pre-season game against Everton, and in fairness, the camaraderie amongst the players, in fact, of both teams, was terrific. There was a good sort of banter amongst themselves. Everton had got a few ex-players, you know, that are ambassadors. All led up to a good sort of.
And also during the season, he had this threat. He'd been sacked, and then he hadn't been sacked, and you know, I think you know, he deserves a Manager of the Year. I think.
Absolutely,
Nigel.
couldn't agree more. Yeah. Keith, Mark, thanks ever so much. Thanks for your company. Another Ref Show next week. See you then. Bye.